Hello and welcome to MisCon's Volunteer Orientation. Today we are going to be discussing all the things you need to know about being a volunteer with MisCon. First and foremost, you absolutely need to be registered for the convention. If you have not registered, please go to our website and register now, or you are welcome to register as you arrive at the event. While we understand that some conventions will comp you in, that is not the way that MisCon works. We expect you to pay for your registration and then we will compensate you in other ways. We'll touch a little bit more on that later. If you have not yet been to our website, go to miscon.org, look for the green bar towards the middle of your screen, right where this red arrow is pointing. Now that you're registered, or will at least be before your first volunteer shift, let's talk about how we are going to track your hours during the convention. Here on the screen, you'll see your volunteer time card. Each time you go to a shift, you will fill in the date, your time in, and which department you are headed to. Once you have completed your shift and your department head has said you are free to leave, you will come back to the volunteer table and write your time out. This is very, very important. If you do not clock out of your shift by the end of the day, you will forfeit those hours worked and you will not be compensated. If you go to multiple departments, you are welcome to keep writing in your departments. So for example, if your shift starts at 1 o'clock and you go to registration from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then from 2 to 3, you go to the art room, you are more than welcome to write Reg and Art in the department area and clock out when you're done with your shift. The reason that we are using these time cards is really to just make sure we are tracking your hours accurately or as accurately as possible. Every hour you work will get you more and more compensation. One of the ways that we compensate you is with something called Cthulhu Cash. What is Cthulhu Cash, you might ask? Remember how I said that we expect you to pay for your MisCon registration and then we will compensate you in other ways? Cthulhu Cash is how we do that. Cthulhu Cash is cash that you can spend only at the convention, and you're welcome to hang on to it from year to year. It does not expire. You can spend Cthulhu Cash on merchants, registration for the next year, art in our art room, really any number of things. And again, you're welcome to hang on to it as often as you'd like. You can also cash out as often as you would like. If you want your Cthulhu Cash every day, you can have it every day. If you want to collect it all at the end of the convention, that's absolutely fine too. Whatever works for you, works for us. Now, the only thing that I will ask is you do not write in your number of hours in this gray column on the right-hand side. That is for the volunteer department heads only. We will be rounding your hours as needed. So for example, if you start volunteering at 1 o'clock and then you end at 3:10, your number of hours worked will be 2.25. I do round to the nearest 15-minute increment, or 0.25. The next thing we're going to talk about is your volunteer profiles. This is really how we evaluate your performance over the convention and try to make sure that we place you in areas that you're going to thrive in. This is where I'll keep notes like, so-and-so absolutely loved registration. So-and-so didn't really like working with the children. And that's totally fine. We want to make sure that your volunteer activities are suited to you and that you are having fun at the convention even while you're helping us run it. The sheet that you see on the left-hand side of your screen is your volunteer profile. You will have a new one of these each year with the year, your name, your phone number, email, your badge number, and a picture of yourself. Yes, I said a picture of yourself. I know we all don't love having our picture taken and plastered onto a volunteer profile, but this is the best way that I have found for our ConCom members to know who you are. Sometimes a department head will come to me and say, "This person you sent me at this time was so fantastic, I want them again for my department." And I'll say, "Great, what's that person's name?" And we won't know. We see so many people during the convention, we want to make sure that you're getting the credit that's due to you. Having a photo on your volunteer profile easily allows our department heads to find you and make sure you're getting the credit that's due to you. We do offer a variety of awards such as Best Volunteer, Best GM, Best Security, and so on. Of course, your guys' concern will be best volunteer. These profiles allow me to notate everything you're doing great and maybe some things that need to be worked on. Regardless, these volunteer profiles will help me with those evaluations so I can determine who our best volunteer of the year is. Being best volunteer is fantastic, and I really hope each and every one of you can be best volunteer one of your years at MisCon. But for those of us who might not get best volunteer, I do want to make sure that you are awarded in other ways. I do offer MisCon swag, and then just some general nerdy swag that we've collected throughout the years. So don't you worry, before the end of the convention, we will get you plenty of Cthulhu Gash and plenty of nerdy swag. One of the other ways that we are trying to award you for your loyalty to MisCon is referral tokens. Anytime you refer somebody to volunteer with MisCon, you will receive a referral token, on top of $5 Cthulhu Cash. So keep in mind, the more of your friends volunteer, the more cash that is in your pocket. So definitely tell your friends. In order to get credit for these referrals, please make sure your friends, your family, random stranger you meet on the street who wants to volunteer at MisCon, make sure they are placing your name on their volunteer application. This is how I track who's referred who and who is due tokens or Cthulhu Cash, and so on. Now that we've covered referral tokens, let's talk about your volunteer buttons. Each year that you volunteer, you will receive a volunteer button. The button will look different from year to year as they will try to relate to the theme of that year's convention. For example, here on your screen, you can see in the lower right when we had hero versus villains, the lower left is when we had level up, and then the top one there is when we were a circus theme and we were Ms. Carnies as our volunteers. Just like Pokemon, you'll want to collect them all. But not only will you want to collect them, we obviously have to decorate them. You'll see here on the right-hand side of your screen that our volunteer button also has ribbons. What are these ribbons? Well, each day that you volunteer, not only do you get your button on your initial day of volunteering, but you'll receive a ribbon each day after. And of course, they're color-coded. Now, an important thing to note is that you will not receive your volunteer button until I take your picture for your volunteer profile. I am holding them hostage because I know some of us do not like having our photos taken. It also doesn't matter how long you volunteer for. You can volunteer for an hour or 40 hours. Regardless, you are going to receive a volunteer button as a small token of our appreciation. Now for the ribbons, not only will you be getting a different colored ribbon every day, but we're going to add a little spice to it. We also have a themed voting. So, for example, a couple years ago, it was heroes versus villains. So every 2 hours that you volunteered, you got one vote. Now, I do recognize that some of you are overachievers and may not be doing your volunteer shifts in even numbers. For example, 3, 5, 7. Those will be rounded up to the next even number. Now, you can vote once per day. So when I give you your ribbon, you'll pick a side, heroes or villains, Atari versus Nintendo. Whatever the theme may be, our voting is going to be geared around that. At the end of the convention, whichever team gets more votes is going to get an extra ribbon denoting that their team won. Now, what's the point of this voting? Well, you guessed it, more nerdy swag. I've got a lot to give away, and I really want to make sure you guys are having a really great experience and we're compensating you as much as we can. Now, in order for you to win with your team, you have to have voted for that team the majority of the days. Let's go back to our heroes versus villains example. If for 4 out of the 5 days you vote for heroes, you're on that team. If you vote for villain 3 days out of 5, well, then you're on the villains team. And then whoever wins, that kind of decides it. And I will be writing your vote on your ribbon each day. So you'll get the ribbon for volunteering, and then you'll get your letter denoting who you voted for. I will tally up these votes, and the winner will be announced before closing ceremonies. You do need to be present to claim your prize. I will not be mailing out prizes. Now for a little bit of the nitty-gritty. Your schedules. I will email you these schedules before the beginning of the convention, and I will also have hard copies available for you at the volunteer table. Most of the time, I'm going to schedule you for 4 hours per day. If you would like to work more than 4 hours a day, absolutely let me know. We have plenty of shifts that need to be filled. There will also be an open shifts list at the volunteer table. So if you're running around and you are not scheduled to volunteer, but you want to be put to work, come see me. I got jobs for you. As you can see on your screen, this is your volunteer schedule. I do tend to color code things. If you are colorblind, please let me know and we will make something a little bit different for you so you know exactly where you're going. Now, I know we've covered a lot of information today, and I will always have this things to know poster at the volunteer table that kind of sums up what we've talked about. If you'd like an electronic copy of this, definitely reach out, let me know, and I can email it to you. But again, it will be at the volunteer table, proudly displayed, so you'll always be able to swing by and take a peek. You're also welcome to email me at volunteer@miscon.org, or you can come by the table and I will chat with you about whatever questions you may have. That said, thank you for your interest in volunteering with MisCon. We are super excited to have you, and I hope that we can get you lots of nerdy swag and Cthulhu cash. Till then, stay nerdy, my friends.